Hello, and welcome back to another session of Creating Art Over 70 with Rufus. I'm continuing on with the train composition. Um, what I'm going to do here for this particular part is I need to be able to get in close and work on a lot of detail throughout the train and into the derailing area of the composition. So in order to do that, I'm going to be really close to it, and if I'm really close to it, it'll get my head in the video. So what I'm going to try to do is continue on here and work that in, and periodically stop and give an update as to what I did and what I used to do what I did. And I hope that works for us. Well, anyway, we're going to see and give it a go. Also, I know that I've been, it's been a period of time here between the last video and this video, and I'm still dealing with a lot of the tooth issues, and it gotten so bad that I just couldn't function. I couldn't do anything because it was, it was painful, but not to a level to where I couldn't tolerate it. But it was, just kind of like getting in the way, and you know, a discomfort. It was very, very uncomfortable, and so I couldn't really function. I didn't want to try to do anything, so I decided just to stop, or slow down until I can get this taken care of. However, it's still not taken care of, but what they did do for me in my appointment yesterday was they did a little and drained some of the uh, drained quite a bit of the infection stuff out because the antibiotics, were, I took some and they worked a little bit, but then to continue to take them, it wasn't starting to feel well about it. Not only with my body, but I didn't want to continue to take a lot of the antibiotic type stuff. And so that's where I am. So this is still in the workings. I'm gonna continue on with the program, with the painting process. But um, until this is fully taken care of, I'm gonna probably keep my speaking down to a minimum. So when I am talking about something, you can really understand it. I don't feel like I'm slurring it or stopping because I got a little, you know, tingle in my tooth or something like that. Okay, so anyway, enough said about that. Let's get busy creating art over 70. The train painting, pastel painting composition. Okay, just to do a quick update as to where we are right now with the piece. What I've done so far is, let me see, will I go out of the camera here? Let me just turn me off. What I've done so far here is I just start working a lot more of the detail in the windows and then the plaques up top on the engine itself, on the front of the engine itself. And so I also was playing with some of the color combinations to see if I can get some of the illumination that I have that you see in the reference on the front of the engine there. So I'm just toying with that also. So I want to make sure I get my shadows and my lights where it really looks realistic. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'll put in some shapes, and it's a combination of pencils and brushes with the pan pastels. So let's just carry on. That's just a quick update as to where. That's just a quick update as to where we are right now. I'm painting standing, so I can really get in there, and try to hash out some of them finer details as close as I can. Trying to keep the pastel pencils sharp as I can to get the edges. And also I used a little bit of the also use some of the shaper tools in here to make sure I get it kind of pushed into the paper, into the pastel mat. And so that's the quick update for this particular session. Let's carry on. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, take a little break here. So yeah, I just tightened it up just a little bit more. Still continued on with pencil pastels and some of the pan pastels with some brush strokes. I'm just trying to get some differentiation between the side and the top of the front end of this little cabin section of the engine here. I want that to be able to be well defined. So when you look at it, you go, this is the top, and this is the front, and this is the side of the front of the engine here. So that's what I was working on with this particular um, session. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and take a break, get a little hungry, and may paint a little bit more today. Trying to, still trying to work with this here, but I actually felt like painting today, and a little bit of conversation. So I'm gonna stop here for now, and if I paint a little bit more, I'll do it, and then I'll make sure I update you on what I did. Thank you so much for watching. Creating Art Over 70 with Rufus, the trained pastel painting. Blessings. Okay, all right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, welcome back to another session of Creating Art Over 70 with Rufus. Continuing on with the trained pastel painting composition. Just a little update as to where I am so far. What I've done so far is I've just gotten really close in here to get some of the details to start coming out. And in order to do that, I had to get in really, really close. And if I get in really close, you see my head gets in the way of the video. So in order to not have that take place, I decided to go ahead and work it and then just explain what I did. So basically what I did, I started putting in some more of the shapes down here to start to capture some more of the detail closer to the wheels of the train. Excuse me. Also, I worked the top heavily to try to bring out the depth and the definition of the different areas of the engine itself. I started bringing in some of the windows, some of the shadowing, and some of the highlights to bring out the roof surface areas, putting in some of the chimney stuff going in here, the chimney stacks going in here, just a little bit of that, and then bringing some of the upper compartment. I just kind of laid in a little bit 167, the actual name of the engine itself, just to see what it would look like. With the pencil going in there, see if I can capture it, as close to sharpness as I possibly could. I laid in some of the highlights in the windows here to get some depth and some darkness and some shadow, so it looks like it's back away. And I put a little bit more highlights in this area. And here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and all in here, in all this areas, I was blending the different colors of red, and so that red and reds, so that I can get a variation of the colors, so you can start to see more of a form, or more of a three-dimensional form coming in here. So it helps the shadows and the highlights and the lighting bring it out of the actual painting itself. And so I started blending that in. I'm going to come back in later and actually work this a little more, because I wanted a little bit more depth in this area here. This area here, I need a little bit more depth in it, and then I need some separation in here, because this particular surface is facing this way, and this particular surface is facing this way. So we got a kind of a box coming in, so I want to make sure that is understood and captured, because this part of the engine kind of stops and we get a little bit more of that. Even though the engine flows, there's still a little bit of section in here that's kind of offset. And I think for the stairs coming up into this particular part of the engine right here, so I start to lay that in some of the actual portions of the wheel assemblies here. I laid in the lights, where the headlights are going to be, in different lights, and so I can start to bring in more detail into that. Okay, so that's pretty much a really quick summary, as to what I've done so far. What I intend to do is move a little further into the wheel area. I want to get a little bit more of that laid in as far as the little bitty subtle, you know, illuminated areas, and keep trying to keep and maintain the darkness of the shadows as I go. And so if I can bring that out a little bit to get a little bit more of the 3D effect and not lose, where it just blends into the painting type of a thing. So anyway, that's where I am. Um, yeah, see if I'm missing anything. I felt like I was talking a little fast there. Yeah, and then I'll make sure that I get the roots defined more. I worked a little heavily in that to try to get that separation going on there and in this area here to get that separation going on. Um, and this surface here goes this way also, so I want to make sure that that holds and stays fast in the composition. I don't think I'm going to do any more in this area here. I might hit a little bit more highlights. I'm not sure at this point. When I get the train put in where I feel it's like almost there, I'll back up and take another look at the background portion of the composition and see if I really want to do a little bit more to this. I probably will hit a little bit more highlights, so the bricks kind of pop out. It's a little bit more shadowing maybe in this particular area. Up in here, I don't think I really want to do anymore. I just want to let that be. But in here, to capture that surface that's going like that, it's not a straight surface. It's kind of going like that. It's going up and then over and then up like that. So I want to make sure that that's understood. I want to keep this portion is kind of blurry. So I might have to sharpen the background in this area in order to make sure that this says it's the head and it's kind of blurry in the foreground, just, type of a concept. And then when I come in and hit the real end, I'm going to hit that kind of heavy with detail, a lot of heavy detail so I can really get it to pop. Not sure how I'm going to, we know by just looking at the composition that the train is in motion, by just looking at it. But how do we emphasize that more? I'm not sure how I'm going to capture that. I think I want to maybe kick up some dust in this area to show motion. Because this particular engine, the smokestacks don't really put out smoke. Maybe I could come up with maybe some heat waves or something and show some motion in that area. I'm not sure. I'm going to test it. I'm going to play with it maybe on another sheet of paper just to see how it looks. Maybe in a corner somewhere to see how it looks. And then if it seems to work, I'll implement it. But right now, I'm not sure how to do that. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's where we are. We're going to continue on up close and personal. Take a break now, maybe do a little bit more painting later today, and see where it goes. But that's it for today, for right now anyway. Thank you so much for joining Creating Art Over 70 with Sign Rufus, Painting with a Passion. Blessing. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, here we go. Let me little update here on the train composition pastel painting. I worked on a little bit more detail. I started bringing in the rails on the train, some more of the shadowing, some more getting it to look a little sharper. Make it look a little more depth in there. The railings, worked on the lights, worked on a lot of the highlighted areas, started to bring it in to darken in the shadowing portion. Started doing that. Okay, did quite a bit, but it's pretty straightforward. Nothing elaborate, just laid in the forms and the shapes, the rails, and I started bringing in some more of the rail, got some more of that, and then I started doing the highlights and the shadows on the rails once I move down and get this kind of laid in. I'll come back to that and get that laid in. But I want to move down. I wanted to get this in so I could start to move down and start to get this area taken care of where I get the shadow and start to bring it in the forms of the wheels a little bit in there and with highlights and things like that. So, yeah. Okay, so that's it. And then we're going to move on down. Once I get this in, I think I might come back and start to lay in the rails a little bit so we can get an idea of how that's going to come together. And then, of course, come back and work on the ground a little bit more. I'm still trying to think about how I'm going to handle the motion in that with respect to the dust in the ground area. I don't know. I'm gonna try to see if I could figure out how to do heat waves to show little motion heat waves going back that way. If the train's going this way, the heat waves be flowing that way, and the same as with the dust. It just be kicked up and just kind of going as the train moves forward. So those are some of the things I'm gonna try to work out as we move forward with this. Okay, so that's it for this session. Creating Art Over 70 with Cyan Rufus. The Train Composition Pastel Painting. Painting with a Passion. Thank you so much for joining. Blessings.